The session is being recorded, and we will be soon uploading this for all of you to view it later. Thank you all for joining in today with uLaw Practice Management. I understand that most of you have a uLaw account with us, or EDU account with us, but some of you have been registering today, have not been using the proper links. So towards end of the webinar, I would definitely give you the proper link to, register. If you've already received your account, okay. The ones registering in the last 1 hour especially have been using another link. We need you to use the EDU link. So we will be sending that shortly on the chat window. All right, so quickly jumping into presentation, I'll just be doing about 15 to 20 minutes over here and then try to do more of the uLaw program itself, and we can go from there. All right, so we were going to be, we had a session this morning, in fact, probably for another set of your friends, another class, but where we discuss the same. And the topic that we are going to be discussing in this class as well is the same topic, which is everything practice management. It's actually a CPD webinar that is delivered across various provinces, which we decided to do for you as well, because it includes quite a lot of professional obligations as a new entrepreneur, as a legal practitioner that you need to keep in mind, that you need to fulfill at the time you start a practice while rendering your services and throughout, in fact. And these professional obligations are split into 7 different requirements or obligations, whatever you can call it as, definitely to be brought to your notice right from the time you intake a client to the time you manage the file, which includes docketing, which includes financial management, like, accounting, getting the money into trust, getting the money out of trust. Okay, I have quickly I'm pausing here to see. I have a few of you saying you cannot hear. Moisha, can you please turn on your audio? So how you can turn on your audio is on the top. You have an audio option, how you can hear us, so you can click on the computer or dial into the phone coordinates available there. If one of you can help Moisha, would be great. You have the audio options on the top. Please click on the audio option and then say you want to listen through computer or dial in through phone. Both options are available there. Catherine, Moisha is unable to hear us, or she can probably log in. One of you can help her or give her a call or something would be great. So proceeding further, so we were talking about the professional obligations, right from the time you intake a client to the time you complete their file and proceed with rest of the accounting or financial management, including reconciliations and your overall business management and professional management. We're going to see all of these in the next few slides. So the morning session, people wanted less of slides, more of uLaw. So I'm going to do the same here. So less of slides, more of uLaw, so you all can benefit from learning this over here. So we quickly look at it here. Professional obligations. When you start as a new entrepreneur, it's going to be all new. So where do we start? You first of all start off with having templates. Do you have to make your own templates? Or if you're using uLaw, you can just use the templates that's readily available in there to intake your client, make sure you record all minute details of them, you have to record their conversations, whatever correspondences, detailed calls, and maybe, even their date of birth, their address, all the information that you can collect or gather from them needs to be recorded somewhere. It could be on your paper pen, you have an application, or you have an inquiry form, or you have a proper client intake form, or you follow the Law Society rules and use one of the client intake apps. uLaw has its own client portal. You can use the documents that's available in there for client intake as well. So there are several methods as we all are moving towards more green, be green, and then you know what, I don't want to print in forms, let me use the portal. Yeah, why not? So you can have your own website. So there are several ways you can intake a client today, but certain things to keep in mind is their detailed recording of conversations, correspondences, and their personal details. So once you're done with that, you have to perform a conflict check. Now, this word conflict check, you will keep hearing throughout your practice because this is so important, especially when you intake a client, making sure you don't have any sort of conflict with them. And you're able to determine objectives, you're able to determine the fee, you're able to determine the method of payments, the method of communication. There's so many things. You will be taking a call at this stage while you're intaking a client. Now, the first few times it might be weird, it might be difficult, but as you set the process, as you intake one client, two clients, few clients, and then you will be more comfortable with following the structure. Once you've laid a structure, I think it's just so simple. A client hits a client portal button or a website, fills in the form, inquiry form, you give them a call, somebody from your office gives them a call, and you've recorded all the details. You've done the first step towards being compliant, which is conflict check. Then you go and talk to them about fee and the fee structure. How would you like to receive money from them? Whether do you have a trust account? Do you have only general account? If you have a trust account, yes, I can collect retainers. Why not? I don't want anyone to fool around, right? So I want to make sure that you have a little security deposit, which is like a retainer into your trust account, and you can start the work. Now, this is exactly where you will be able to determine that, okay, now I'm going to deposit retainer into my trust account. Now, what is it that I'm required to do? Okay, I'm going to give them a retainer letter, draft it, tell them these are the obligations as a client, and these are my obligations as a legal advisor or legal professional that I would be fulfilling on your behalf. And please deposit certain amount into my trust account by end of the day. Now, when they deposit it, it could be in any method, but you need to, again, determine, tell them that, hey, I prefer check or I prefer cash. If it's cash, are you following, again, the Law Society regulations here of depositing it into the trust account within the first 24 hours? So there are certain things that you need to keep in mind if you're getting cash. Or the best would be today, everybody's on email transfer. So get an email transfer to your account. Make sure your trust account is all set up with the right email IDs. Everything goes in. What needs to come into trust goes into trust, and what needs to go into general goes into general. So the trust is all mostly retainer amounts, which is not your money yet until you bill the client and move it out of your trust and make it yours when it goes into general. And you, of course, provide them with the receipt. Now, if none of this happens, if let's assume the very first day you find out that there's a conflict, you say that, okay, thank you, no, I'm not doing this for you for some reasons. I'll refer you to my friend or my colleague or my, coworker, whatever, and here's a non-engagement letter. I'm not engaging with you anymore. So no services were being rendered, and make it clear. And that way, there's nothing, there's nothing hanging around. You're basically clearing off everything and making sure that there's no engagement between you and this particular client or prospective client of yours. Now, there can be another circumstance where you can give them a non-engagement. Let's assume this prospective client reached out to you and never got back after you got to this discussing fee and stuff. For some reason, they felt maybe you're expensive, maybe they don't need the services right now, whatever the reason might be, they don't come back to you. Now, what do you call them as a ghost client? If you see in uLaw under contacts, there would be a specific group called ghost clients. Now, they're not like real ghosts. It's just that they didn't get back to you. So we have termed them as ghost clients. The clients who are prospective clients who never got back to you will be termed as ghost clients. And you still go ahead and give them a non-engagement letter so that you don't want them coming back in future and saying, hey, you know what, I spoke to you, but you never took any action. Because of that, you're liable to this. Nothing of that sort. So you always want to make sure you're on the right side. You're making sure every obligation or requirement is being fulfilled right from the day one to keep you compliant with Law Society. Remember, that's our motto. Keep you compliant with Law Society, okay? Anything that you can do to get there is what we help you with from uLaw to be compliant with Law Society. So if you are using uLaw, you don't have to really worry because you have all of these documents readily available there. You still have to generate them, but at least you don't have to carry the headache of preparing them, right? So make the best use of whatever tools and documents that's available for you within the program. Now, quickly switching over to retainer agreement, where in the previous slide we spoke about determining fee and the retainers. This is something where you will draft a retainer agreement, and the retainer agreement should definitely have all of these, right from the nature and scope to the responsibilities, to the risks associated with the matter, the method of communication. How would you prefer to communicate with the client? How would you like the retainer arrangements done? Do you want them to pay is it an ongoing matter? Is it going to be a one-time matter? If it's an ongoing, do you want them to replenish the retainer every month? How would you like to do those? All of these have to be put into the retainer agreement. So this is your first real document or agreement that you are agreeing between you and your client, or the prospective client becoming your real client because you're retaining them. And this has to be this can be as exhaustive as possible. At the same time, this can be kept short too. It totally depends on the kind of arrangements you want to make, sure. But I would recommend to at least keep these informations that you see here in your retainer agreement so that you are not at default at any time. You are making sure everything has been brought into clients, into the picture. Now, let's assume you have onboarded the client, you have collected the retainer, you've drafted the retainer agreement, they signed, they collected the retainer. Now you're at the point where you're going to start the work. Now, when you're going to start the work, what are certain things that you keep in mind? If you're using uLaw, great. You have a file opening checklist already available there under compliance tab when you create a matter, and you will find client ID verification forms. You have already completed the conflict check. Every file has to be numbered in uLaw. It is automatic numbering system, so you again don't have to worry about that part. They all should be chronologically organized. So there will be several documents you might be exchanging with your client in the initial days especially. Make sure you scan them, you upload them, or if you're saying getting it by email, well and good, you download them, put them into your folder, drive, connect them to uLaw because uLaw has Google Drive, OneDrive, integration facilities, so you could integrate them with your Drive and have them under the respective matters. So this is going to give you a nice and secured way of organizing your electronic files and making sure you record all the conversations, again, all the correspondences with your client properly organized and for respective matters. While this is a proper file management, so you're done with a good client management with recording all the details of your client, giving them a conflict check, getting a conflict check done, giving them the retainer letter, getting the retainer collected, giving them a receipt. Now you've opened the file, started to work with docketing stuff. Now you've started docketing your work. When you've started docketing your work, you will come across raising an invoice where you will be, kind of addressing the needs of your client, and you will be properly scheduling your fee, whether you're going to charge the billable time or flat rate. Now, this is a moment where you will decide, okay, I'm going to charge my client $200 an hour. I've done 2 hours of work, so my bill is $400 to the client plus taxes $452. Now, how well all of these is recorded in your books is very important. So uLaw allows you to record the event or the docket for that particular hour, for that money or cost, and we will do the back-end calculations and give you the invoice. So you just have to deliver the invoice promptly to the client and get the payment into the account. So all the payments that you receive into your trust or general are respectively recorded under the client's matter or file. So at the same time, it is also reflecting in your financial side. So you're also able to manage all your receipts and disbursement journals. And most importantly, the reconciliation part, when you are recording all the transactions promptly, like, you received money from the client. So you enter it into the trust or general as a receipt. You disbursed for some reason, you're going to record that as well. I'll definitely be walking you through an example on how to do the receipts and disbursements. Now, once you're done with that, your bank statement is bang on matching all the receipts and all the payments. That is all the deposits and all the withdrawals into the respective accounts. Trust and general has been recorded. Everything looks good. You have verified it with your bank statement. You have verified the uLaw program. Now you start the reconciliation, or only during the reconciliation process, you're verifying it and you're able to reconcile. You're able to produce the reconciliation statement. You're also keeping your financial statements up to date. This is going to be so helpful for you because you are reporting to the Law Society saying this is your reconciliation statement every month for the previous month in. And at the same time, you're also able to gauge your firm's health, which is very, very important because your firm's financial health will tell you where you stand, whether you're at profit, you're at loss, whether you're doing really good at a specific area of practice, what is happening. So basically, financial management is very, very important for you to know what is really happening at your end. So, you're going to be seeing that all these professional obligations are going to be fulfilled mostly at this point, and you're going to be setting it up as, trust or general respectively, and all the ledgers, journals. So when we talk numbers, they're okay. But when you talk statements, they're sometimes, above your head. You're not even able to understand sometimes, if you're not let's say if you're a non-accounting student, these ledgers and journals might be a little hard for you to understand, but they're nothing but every transaction you record gets recorded at the back end into the respective ledgers and journals. If it's a receipt, it goes into receipt journal. If it's a payment or a disbursement, it goes into disbursement journal. And there are also going to be a lot of monthly reconciliations report, and you will be seeing them all in maybe end of the month or end of the period in the respective accounts. Okay. Now, while that is being done, you are also going to be seeing another side of your business. So let's say you're good with your profession. Now, what about your, your business side of it? You need to make sure you have a good software. You're having a secured software. You're having backups done often. You're having a good mobile device which is locked, and you're having all the security with remote accesses, because end of the day, you should be able to look into it from anywhere in this world, and secured and safe. That is also one of your key points to be remembered when you're going with the respective softwares or any other applications that you're planning to use for your firm. And most of all, professional management needs to be going on. You need to make sure that you complete your CPD hours on time. You are up with your membership, you've registered yourself or you become a member of your respective professional associations, whether it's Ontario Paralegal Association or Ontario Bar Association or Criminal Lawyers Association, whatever it is, but making sure that you're getting your memberships, you're renewing them, you're reviewing the legislations and professional code of conduct from time to time will help you manage your business, also be professional managed, fulfill all those obligations. While that is being done, time management is no question. We all strive to get there. Some point in time, I wish I'm able to manage my time better too. So making sure, how do you do that using uLaw? Why is the slide even here? I mean, it's so simple because uLaw has a calendar tab, which will help you to maintain all your to-do list, which will help you to even dock it for non-billable time. If you don't have to always only dock it for billable time. There are also time dockets for non-billable time. And, making sure you're able to manage all of them, the active files, non-active files, because uLaw has a tab or a section called Quick View, and you're able to view all your active, non-active, closed, archived, respective files that you are marking them as you go. And finally, last but not the least, personal management is very, very, very important. Try and take your time off work so it helps you to be more satisfied with your growth. You see your financial success when you're able to strike a balance. You're able to work on your, work-life balance, stress management, etc. These are some things that I don't want to go too much in detail, but at least I want to bring to your notice as part of this webinar. Because when you're on this side of your profession, which is rendering services, it's going to be more stressful for you to be a new entrepreneur, open the bank accounts, maintain the bank's books, clients, do the actual work, which is your legal work, and at the same time be compliant with Law Society. So this is where uLaw tries to make your life better by saying that, hey, you know what, use the program to your fullest because the program has everything you need to be rendering to your client, when you're rendering services to your client, you need invoices, receipts, retainer letters, all of them are in here. And at the same time, when you want to report your compliances, all of them are here under accounting and compliances, including, your Law Society reports, your ledgers, journals, reconciliation. Right? So we're going to come to that part shortly, but let's look at this program. Now, you've all been given this program. Some of you are just started registering. You will be having your program soon, but some of them have not registered properly. They have registered using wrong links. I will be posting links towards the end of the session. So make sure to wait and copy that link and re-register I can probably read out the names or I can give out the names here on chat. But the ones who didn't use that link to register, or who don't have an account yet, please make sure to register properly under EDU account so you get an EDU account for yourself. All right. So right now we are in the uLaw account. As you all can see, this is the dashboard. Dashboard is something that shows you the normal day-to-day activities of what is happening in the uLaw program. Now, this might be empty for a lot of you. For the ones who have used this program already, you might have an idea that whatever you enter under contacts or whatever you enter under, let's say under quick view, this will, under contacts will be seen under dashboard and quick view. So now let's say I'm under contacts. I'm going to start adding a new client. There are a few ways you can add a new client, and there are a few ways you can excel using this. You can be fast by adding a new client by simply using a client portal. Or you can use to generate a document called a client intake form from uLaw contacts, document generation, client intake, send them a client intake form, download it, let your client fill it in. And once they submit back to you, you can upload this client intake form into the program by simply clicking on import contact and upload client intake form. Now, if this is being done, you're going to click on add new client. Let's say you didn't use client portal. Let's say you didn't use document generation either, but you preferred using the old school method of adding a new client information on your own. So you're adding client's name. Let's say the client's name is okay. And there are so many other details you can keep adding. I would say keep it as extensive as possible. It is more simple here because as many details as you can gather about your client, put it under notes, like even sometimes even you want your client's date of birth, you want your client's, any details, further details that you don't see as a option here for you to add. You can bring them under notes and make sure you add in all the information of your clients, the addresses, and you want to make sure that you have them recorded at the right spots, because if you don't record saying their source of contact, you will not be able to generate the source of contact document. So making sure everything is here is very important, and the respective tabs. And once it's done, let's say phone, email, everything was added, you're going to click on save. Now, when you click on save, you're going to be able to click on action right above Lily's name. And you're going to do a conflict check. While you're doing conflict check, you're going to be looking at various conflicts, if there are any potential conflicts, and that would give you an idea and go from there. You will be able to decide whether you want to onboard this client, intake this client or not. Okay, while you look at the conflict check or the potential conflicts, you find there's no Lily Stanford here, or there's no potential conflict for Lily Stanford, then you go ahead, click on matter and open the file. Now, while opening the file, you're going to know what are the details here. So let's say the client has reached out to you for a landlord issue, or a tenant issue. So let's say the client is the landlord. So they're facing issue with non-payment of rent, and this is going to be coming under landlord tenant. So you put it under landlord tenant. If there is a court file numbers for LTB court, you enter them over here. If there's nothing, you just have to let it be empty. It doesn't have to necessarily carry some information, matter description. You don't have anything to describe about the matter. Well and good, it's okay. Proceed with the rest of the information here. Make sure to add your rate per hour if you're going to charge your client hourly rate. If you have an assistant, you want to post the assistant rate. Now, these are my rates I had put in, but I can always change it for this client's purpose. Maybe Lily and I had agreed to give her $100. Let's say I wanted to charge her for this file. So, or maybe I have a separate rate for landlord tenant, I have a separate rate for Highway Traffic Act, whatever it is. So you can come and change it here at the time you're building the file or preparing the file, and you can save it. When you save it, you see there is a file number here created, and the file number is going to be your file number for Lily Stanford. Now, you can look up for this file number anytime from Quick View. So let's say you have tons of files. Where do you find your files easily? Quick View. Contacts, between contacts and between matters is Quick View. You can just simply go and put Lily Stanford, or just say Stan, and then you find out that Lily Stanford is coming up, and you can click on it and go to the matter right from there. So Quick View is more like an index library for you to go and look for files. So you have contacts, you have Quick View, you have matters. Let's assume that you're now starting the work. So there are several tabs here. I want all of you to go in. We cannot possibly see all tabs here right now, but I'll try and showcase you as much as possible. So Matter Events is where you will be adding your dockets or the work that you're doing for your client. Let's say you had an initial client meeting, you discussed upon few things, you wanted to add 36 minutes of your conversation as a billable time. Tiny little drop down, make sure it's billable time, and whatever duration you took is what you want to charge. So go ahead and click on autofill. So whatever time you took will be charged as a billable time. And you can also describe about the matter, add whatever event and add extra over there to your invoice. And the next time you decided that you are going to do some drafting for this client, and while you're drafting, you took about around 48 minutes, and you want to charge autofill billable again. So make sure you're not on flat rate, you're on billable, and you're on auto billable. So save this, and then before you proceed with further work, you wanted to. So the document drafting was probably the retainer letter, the time you took to draft the retainer letter and other documents for onboarding or intake purposes. Okay, so now let's say that you have done so much work, but to proceed further, your client needs to pay you a retainer. So for this, you clicked on compliance and sent them a retainer letter from the compliance. Sorry, I think I missed to add in the amount. So it will come out as $0, but you can always fill it in over here and send it to the client and ask them to pay you that much amount. So let's assume that I have asked for a $500 retainer. So you can, let's say when the client has paid you today at the end of the meeting, you can click on retainer tab here, new retainer, and collect the $500 into your trust account as they have email transferred you right away at the end of the meeting. So they were just sitting in your office and they were able to do it right away. And you're also issuing them a receipt right away by logging into uLaw, recording that you received an email transfer. Let me give you a receipt right away and download it. So within less than 5 minutes, you have done an intake, you've created a file, you have entered a few dockets, you have also created the retainer amount and given them a receipt, and you are now going to proceed further with the matter. You are going to be appearing for a hearing, so you're going to be saying court hearing, and this time it took you more than 2 hours, 2 hours, 30 minutes, but you don't want to charge them a big amount of $600, so you wanted to just keep it small and say, I want to charge my client $300 flat rate. So there's a difference between billable time and flat rate. You can't do both for the same event, but in a same invoice, you can do both. You can do one event with billable time. You can do another event with flat rate. You do a combination of billing. It's up to you. You can, but it just have to be made clear on the retainer agreement, making sure you're all agreeing upon you're on the same page as your client, or your client is on the same page as you, making sure that they are aware you will charge billable time for certain types of events, you will charge flat rate for certain type of events, and you've also collected the retainer. Now you are going to add a new disbursement because there is a disbursement in your in this case. Now, there are several types of disbursements. In another couple of weeks, we're going to be doing another webinar called Disbursements Demystified. So I will go in detail about disbursement at that time, but just for the sake of adding a disbursement into an invoice, I go to add new disbursement and I'm picking up a very, very common option, which is, charging some admin fee or some photocopy fee for the client. So let's say you did photocopies, you printed some 100 pages, you're charging them $20 plus taxes, and you're leaving the bottom portion empty because you just used your office printer, and the office printer, ink, and paper, they're all recorded and their office expenses already. So you're leaving the bottom portion empty and clicking on save. Now, while you save it, you're going to click on Matter Events. Make sure everything is good here. You've recorded the docket. You go into Disbursements Retainer. You've recorded both. You can now click on Invoice on the top. Do a preview always, so that if you catch any mistake or if you've done any mistake, you can catch it at this point. So here is the invoice with client's information, invoice 2, and the details. There's no invoice number because this is only a preview. This is a draft, guys. If you're doing a final version, there will be an invoice number given to it. Invoice number starts with a series of 1,000. So this is what the amount due is from the client. So you further want to raise a final invoice because everything looks good. You can do an eco-friendly version if you want to keep your invoice short. You can do different themes, default theme. You can do uLaw theme, Xmas theme during your Christmas month. It's up to you totally. You can play around with it. You can make sure you can add in your own terms, your own penalty percentage if they haven't paid you on time. If they're paid it, you can also mark as paid. So try and explore into the options that's available. So we have made it to such an extent that you will benefit from each and every option that is available for you. So here's the invoice. Of course, you can put in your own letterhead. You can put in your own logo. Here are the client's information. The file information is on the top. So I like this theme personally, default theme, because you have the file information right on the top, nicely categorized for your clients to also review. And your dockets are in here, your disbursements are in here, your retainer is in here, total invoices over here with an amount due. Now let's assume the amount due has to be paid by the client right now because you've done with the work. Let them pay because you're going to send them an invoice. They will take a few hours to pay, or they pay you immediately on the same day or next day, whatever. But your job is to send them an invoice once you're completed with the work. Now, there is another obligation for you to fulfill here. There's a $500 receipt money sitting in your trust. Now, what do you do with that? When you are done with your work, when you have raised an invoice, happily move that money from trust to general. It's all yours now. Whether it's your legal fee, whether you have dispersed for some reason, you're paying back yourself, but it's all yours now. You can transfer them in your bank, then come back into uLaw, click on question mark, center of the page, right? You can nicely see this question mark. Click on it, gives you matter analytics. You see that the deposit is $500 in your trust account. Now that is the money you're eligible to move from trust to the general. It's all yours. Enjoy, okay? So you have about $678 invoiced to the client, of which $500 is sitting in your trust. Make it yours by moving it in the bank, in your real bank first. You can move it electronically. You can walk into your bank, ask them to move it. You can probably put a move using a check. So use a method of payment called check. You can transfer money from trust to general by simply issuing a check to your professional corporation, or if you're a partnership or etc. You can, whatever, you can move money from trust to general in different forms. The most preferred these days are electronic form where people get a reference number from the bank and transfer. But watch here when I transfer. When I transfer, there's only transfer, cancel, print, check. You all can see this, right? So if you're doing a check, you can print a check. If you're doing electronic fund transfer, make sure to record electronic fund transfer as the method of payment with the reference number. Click on transfer. Once you click on transfer, you see there's a Form 9A that popped up suddenly. That's because uLaw recognized you put in the method of payment as electronic fund transfer and smart enough to pull up this Form 9A for you, which Law Society thinks is the form that you need to submit every time you do a trust transfer electronically. Now, most of them fear to do electronic fund transfers because of this form. They cannot sometimes record the details as you want, but we at uLaw help you to record this detail automatically with the details you have entered, of course, but at least we can input them for you and give you the output if you give us the input. And this is all what you need for your law society purposes, of course, for transferring money from trust to general part. Now, what are you left out with? If you look at the projected balance on the top, the client still owes you some money, which is $178. Now, where is that? The client hasn't paid you, or has he paid you? Okay, let's say Lily has paid you today. You go back into uLaw, click on the same question mark, and it would say payments, which means the client owes you money. And since you've completed the work, you're not bothered to bring that into trust account, or you're not obliged to bring that under trust account. So you just take it into your general account. Now watch this here, guys. Let's assume the client, instead of sending you $178, sends you a round of amount of $180. We don't allow you. We say that, hey, the max amount you can apply is only $178. If you want to override the restriction, which is a compliance issue, you should either deposit this amount into the trust account, this $2, or you should raise an invoice saying $2 with some admin charges. So make sure that you're receiving the exact money that the client owes you, okay? Now, let's say that the client email transferred you again, but this time into the general account. So you enter the reference number wherever possible, try and enter the reference number. So, we don't allow you to proceed otherwise. So wherever possible is not a question. If it's not possible, you are going to enter a question mark or a not applicable, something that you're going to come back and refill that part later. Okay. Now you can give a client the receipt again, and you can proceed with opening rest of the things here. Now, what are pending here? What is pending here for me? From the client aspect, I'm done with everything. But from the compliance aspect, am I done with everything? No, because you have to click on compliance to verify if you're done with everything here. So you have a file opening checklist. Number one, you're going to download that and make sure everything has been done in this file. Then you come to quarterly client statements. If it's an ongoing, make sure you record all those. My favorite personally is statement of activity and settlement plus accounts. You know that if you give this to your client, they're so satisfied, they're so happy. They know that, okay, this is what has happened in my file so far. And I'm happy to pay Daniel Craig so much as a fee and as further replenishment of retainer, whatever he or she is asking me for. So try and communicate with your clients as much as possible. So keep them comfortable, and you will be seeing the difference really when you are able to service them to that extent. Now, we were talking about closing a matter. So let's say you've downloaded all the documents you need. You have also given your client a statement for Trust Plus General. You download this, send it to them. You tell them that, hey, Lily, this is what has happened in your for your matter and trust and general respectively. You gave me a $500 retainer. I invoiced you for this much amount, and then I moved that money from trust to general. Now you also paid me a balance amount of $178 into my general account. So we are left with that. The overall invoice was $678. You gave me a $500 retainer into trust, which was later moved into general, and you gave me $178 into the general account. So whatever comes into trust has to be recorded in trust in uLaw. Whatever comes into general or goes into general has to be either moved from trust to general or has to be received directly from general into the uLaw account. So end of the day, what you're doing is you're duplicating your bank. You're duplicating what is happening in your bank. In your bank, you receive funds, you record here. You in your bank, you withdraw funds, you record here. Now, it is so much so that you have to follow on a daily basis so that end of the day or end of the month, you can reconcile easily. If you ask me, I would say every week a reconciliation would be, really very, helpful, because if you are able to reconcile on a weekly basis, I don't think your month-end reconciliation should be that hard. It's in fact like it's definitely a 2-minute job if you're doing something on a weekly basis. All right, and as a new entrepreneur, how much would you go through if you're doing this from day one, right? So try and implement this. This can also be a case if you're joining as an assistant in a big law firm. You can still follow all of this. You can still, tell them how you learned uLaw, how you experienced using uLaw, and how you can excel and help them do all of this and still be compliant with Law Society. And that's the reason you're learning the program here, to implement this in the future. So try and make the best use of the 3 months of this student account that you've received. I think it's mostly 3 months, about 90 days. We are only left with few minutes, I think only 5 minutes, and we are definitely going to be done. Catherine, I just need 2 more minutes to show them what is where. So all that we have recorded today in here is there in the compliance, under monthly compliance. All the trust general that you downloaded is available here. The documents just has to be clicked on downloaded, because you've already input all the details into the respective matters. Client's trust, instead of all clients, let's say I only want to see Lily's file. So when I do Lily's file, so I know what are the money that came into trust and what was the money that went out of trust. So here's the detailed description with the particulars, with the email transfer reference number, etc. Now, the same way, if I go and do for the client's general, not for all clients, but for Lily Stanford, and download this client's general, you will know that this is what was charged as invoice to the client, because it's general. You receive money into general later. Everything is over here. So all that you need from a point of aspect of this one is available readily over here. And lastly, if you click on, let's say, import bank statement or add expenses for office expenses, you can add all your office expenses. You might have paid rent, you might have paid for printing stationery or for gas expenses, whatever it is. Make sure on your phone and internet bill, internet, office, you can record them here. Let's say you pay $100 to Virgin. Who have you paid it to? Virgin Mobile. You can, understand the pre-authorized debit mode and enter it all over here, whether, you have a reference number or not. So we then go into, finally, last point is all your office expenses are made out of general account. Point to remember, only your client expenses, mostly that also goes out of general, but some goes out of trust, like, court fee, etc. You can still do it. So here is your $100 general account payment, which is for the internet office. And, if you click on it, you can see that $100 went out for the internet purposes. Now, so you can record everything for your client, you can record everything for your office, everything is in here. You can reconcile your books end of the day by simply clicking on reconciliation, respective reconciliations, and you're going to replicate what happened in your bank for that specific date, enter the date, the balance, clear everything that you see in your bank statement, and boom, you have the reconciliation document with you within minutes. Now, guys, that's exactly what I wanted to show you. I know we are short of time, but I hope I was able to show you all as much as possible. Now, the best part is we have another session. I'll try to keep that 1 hour, 15 minutes. Catherine, we'll try to plan that for about 1 hour, 15 minutes, because we take about 10 minutes to settle in. So we'll plan the time accordingly. And that is going to be 2 weeks from now for disbursements demystified. At that time, you all can definitely reach out to me for any questions. And even now, I'm going to put in my, my email ID here. And all of you can reach out to me directly on my email ID, but do copy Catherine while you're emailing me, so that you are not going to be facing any issues such as it goes into spam. It might go unnoticed if it's something that goes into my spam. So try and copy Catherine wherever possible. And the ones who are not registering properly, as in like EDU, there's so many of them who have been registering as a normal user. Sorry, but you need to register as a EDU user. So here's the link for EDU registration. I'm sending that to you on the chat window as well. Now, besides this, one more last thing before I let you all go is there is a help tab under your uLaw account. I don't know if you're all seeing my screen, but the uLaw tab has help. You can click on tutorials, uLaw answers, search guide. There's several things here. Please use these resources. Now they're like your library. You need to go and use these resources. These 1-hour sessions or what Catherine is walking you through will not be enough for you to learn the entire program by yourself, but you can use these tutorials. There's more than 500 videos. Now, where does this tutorial take you to? It takes you to a YouTube channel. You can instead just directly go to YouTube, find uLawPractice, subscribe to uLawPractice. There's something called playlist. Go playlist wise if you want to learn about contacts, if you want to learn about logging in, and if you want to learn about reconciliation. There's different playlists for each and everything, or you can also type in the questions and go from there. Now, I'm done, Catherine. Any questions? I recommend all of you to please email me. Don't hesitate. You can email me, but expect a little bit of delay in response because I would generally be on calls, but I would get back to you definitely by end of the day. Copy Catherine, copy my support. I'm also writing support email ID here. Please note down these links, these email ID. They're very helpful for you even in future, whether you're a student, whether you're non-student, you're trying to reach us. support@uLawPractice.com is also very helpful. Thank you so much, Catherine, and all of you, each one of you who's joined in. Samantha, thank you for your kind message. I'm so glad I was able to help you all. We have another session in 2 weeks for disbursements demystified. I'm hoping you all come a little prepared for that by looking at these videos. So we will chat soon, and I think we have one more class tomorrow for everything practice management. Catherine, I will catch you over there. I will join in a little early, so at 9 a.m. So I'll be starting the session at 8:45, so that we can have everyone join in on time. So remind your students to join in probably 10 minutes early. So we will start the session sharp at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you all for joining in. I'm stopping the recording. Take care and have a nice